Hi, my name is Taylor Hawkins, and I'm going to be talking about contemporary artist Shepard Fairey. So a little about him. He was born on February 15th, 1970 in Charleston, South Carolina. He graduated with a bachelor's from Rhode Island School of Design in 1992, and he currently lives and works in Los Angeles, California. So on his website, he has a list of awards that he has won, and he has won 9 between 2003 and 2015, such as the Tony Goldwyn Visionary Artist Award, Rush Arts Honoree, and the Muslim Public Affairs Council Voices of Courage Media Award. So now I'm going to talk about a little bit about his artistic style. So he is part of the street art movement, and he realized his interest in street art while he was working at a skateboard shop making stickers while he was in college. Most who know him immediately start to, relate him to street art because that is how he started out. So he will forever be known as a street artist to many. And his work combines elements of graffiti, pop art, business art, and Marxist theory. And one of his big influences, especially from the start, is his love of punk music, which we will see later on in the PowerPoint. So one of the most prominent things he is known for is his Obey Giant campaign. So this famous icon, this Andre the Giant, takes different forms as far as layout and composition and his color palette goes. But either way, each piece has a very limited color palette in itself. He usually combines very bold colors, and when he do, it's usually just between 1 or 2, 3 bold colors that really grabs the attention instead of making it very gaudy or overwhelming. So he explains this Obey sticker campaign on his website under his manifesto, as he calls it, as he calls it an experiment in phenomenology. So German philosopher Martin Heidegger describes this phenomenology as, quote, the process of letting things manifest themselves, unquote. And under his manifesto, Shepard talks about how he attempts to enable people to see something clearly that is right before their eyes, but obscured, things that are so taken for granted that they are muted by abstract observation. So really what he's trying to do with this piece is trying to get people to really think just kind of about everything, and kind of about the life they live and where they're living, and just about really everything. And think about the things that they like to take for granted and that they use or do or see every day, but they don't really think twice about it. So he's really trying to get people to think twice. All right, so the Obama Hope poster is another thing that is, or another piece, sorry, that is very popular and that really started to make his work explode. So once again, he has a very limited color palette, and up close, and even right here too, you can see that he adds a little bit of texture with the stripes and the white of Obama's face. And it's not listed on his website, but he actually won the Brit Insurance Design of the Year award in 2009 for this poster. All right, so on his website, he has a category called Stencils and Studies. And there's 92 pieces under this category that he lists, and he still uses a limited color palette for each. When he likes to use this blue in like figure 5, he really just uses the white and the blue. He doesn't really stray from that. Well, I mean, he uses different tones of blue, but he doesn't really like to add other colors when it comes to the blue. Some pieces he does, but mostly it's the blues and the white. And then for the other pieces, he does this tan, this black, and this red, or he does like a gray, but he really sticks to about 3, 4 different colors. And if he does add a little more, it's different tones. He doesn't really try to make it overwhelming or there be a huge variation in his colors per piece. All right, and this figure 7, this Greetings from Iraq piece, you can, just looking at the style from it, you can tell it is heavily influenced by pop art. And figure 6 and many of his other pieces with this type of color palette resemble the palette of artist Karkin, And if you look on in our textbook from page 254 to 255, Parkin has a piece called Brookside Zoo, Brookside Zoo, that has this very similar color palette. And figure 6 also resembles the color palette in Dimitri Moore's Have You Enrolled as a Volunteer in 1920, and that's on page 91. And Dimitri Moore was a Russian Revolution propaganda poster artist. So Shepard kind of seems to pull from those older styles in a lot of his pieces actually when you're looking at them. All right, mixed media painting. You can still see his limited color palette. He doesn't really stray that much from that ever. And he tends to reuse the same colors over and over, like the blues and the reds and the black and the tan. All right, and a lot of these pieces like this, they resemble a pop art style with really like heavy contours, especially in the face of figure 10 or on Johnny Cash. And when you look closer, what's interesting about these pieces is they already kind of have a message that really grabs the viewer's eye, but Fairey really adds a lot of little detail, especially like words, or if you look in figure 9, the Martin Luther King, that really emphasize his message that he's trying to portray. And he also does a lot of work in environmental pieces. Many of his environmental pieces include the obey message, and some pieces, such as figure 12, are very to the point, and others that you can see on his website are very sarcastic as well. So he does a lot of sarcasm undertones in some of his pieces. And since he is kind of a rebel, he is very into making pieces that kind of mock capitalism. What he does with this is he attempts to awaken the issues of capitalism. They have very pop art comic figures in them. There's bold contrasting colors with a limited palette. Sarcastic pieces that he has involving capitalism bring about the irony in capitalist propaganda and messages. So really he's trying to make the viewer think about what our society is like, and what underlying things are they not telling us when they advertise to us. And every once in a while he likes to break his color palette a little bit, and this is where you again see his influence, or where the influence of his music kind of ties in. So he, on each piece on his website, he wrote the Joan Jett piece. They used to, apparently in his house, they used to blast Joan Jett music, so that was a big influence in his life. And the Sex Pistols, he quotes, gave him the adrenaline-inducing soundtrack for his rebellion that really started it all and started his career. And some notable features of his work overall is that he limits his color palette. He has very sarcastic undertones in many of his pieces. He has bold contour lines, and then he likes to add little details, especially in his capitalist messages. And especially the details in the propaganda messages that I think are important to me, because it's really, all his pieces are very interesting, and then you look closer, and they just kind of help strengthen his message. And last but not least, where does he fall in historical context? So he is a contemporary artist, since he falls into the 21st century, where there's a lot of culturally diverse and technology-driven societies. He's still highly referenced as a street artist due to him and Banksy's self-promotion and his Obey campaign, which really started it all, which was street art. And he wasn't born, but he started off in the grunge design era, but all of that really does tie in to him as a contemporary artist, and that is where he falls in historical context. And that is my last slide, and thank you for listening.